We've already looked at the sonata form in theory, link in description. Now let's look, let's listen, let's feel the sonata form in action. Beethoven's Sixth Symphony was one of the very first pieces that switched me on to classical music, and I'm going to make a few more videos about this simple and wonderful landscape of sound, so why not start here? I mean, the sonata form is supposed to guide our way around the first movements of most classical age music. Beethoven is a classical age composer, so let's see what happens here. Remember, our sonata form is A, exposition, laying out your ideas, B, development, doing stuff with those ideas before A, recapitulation, a return to our original material, but usually with an added twist. Let's dive right in. We want to hear theme 1, our main theme. So how do we know our main theme? When I first used to listen to this movement, there were large periods where I didn't really know where I was, but I always knew what the main theme was. It was the hook, the bit of the music that appealed to my ear most. It was the bit of the piece in those early days that I wanted the music always to come back to. Now that's not just a coincidence. Remember, that's actually the point of the sonata form. You want to rehear the main theme. So anyway, main themes are usually the best tune, and they're usually played by all the instruments together at once. That theme has actually been teased right at the start of the movement. And here the theme comes again, teased by the woodwind. A lot of information is telling us that this bit of music is something we need to pay attention to. Next, according to our sonata form, we need a second subject. Now, a subject is potentially a large musical idea. It can contain one or many themes. So we have a whole bag of material, which we call the first subject, and then we introduce a whole new bag of material, a second subject. And oh, look, here it is. So, how generally do we know a second subject is coming? Well, there's often a break in the music, kind of musical paragraph spacing that lets you know new material is coming. Here it is in the music. And then here comes our second subject. Now this main theme of our second subject is more restful than the first, our busy main theme. There's contrast here, even if it's a gentle contrast, and that's often the case with the sonata form. Two sorts of material that a composer can use dialectically if they so choose. With our peaceful country sojourn, contrast is mild and the scene is, chill. Next, how do we know when we get to the end of our second subject material? Again, another break in the flow of the music. It's worth remembering this whole first exposition section can be replayed as a repeat, and this really used to confuse me when I first listened to classical music. But anyhow, next comes part 2, development. What happens here? Well, stuff just develops. The thematic content is taken from our original main theme, but only half of it. Here it is in its new form. Old form. New form. This material is repeated, well, a surprising amount of times. Repetitive use of thematic material gives the music a rhythmic quality. We seem to be hearing the same thing many times. Before, sudden change of key presents a new landscape on our walk in the country. It's a harmonic shift that really informs what's happening here. A key change. Harmonic development is actually the most common way composers work their material in the development section of a sonata form movement. But it's also worth stressing that the composer has so much free choice here. He really can do just about anything with this material. Beethoven here spends most of his development section using half of his main theme, and yet he stretches that single half of a theme out all the way through the whole development section. It's repetitive, but it's effortless and certainly not boring. All of this brings us to part 3, recapitulation, the reintroduction of the main theme. This is usually a big moment for the sonata form, and the orchestra gets ready for it. And then our main theme. And then after, our second theme. This time, as per sonata form, and for all the wonks, in the home or tonic key. But there's so much more to this movement, and we finish with a beautiful coda filled with many of our themes re-explored and reinterpreted, like for example our main theme again. I hope that gives some idea of how we can take this movement, how we can grasp its geography, how we can feel its narrative, feeling the entry of material, its development before its reintroduction. And that's just this one movement. Beethoven actually used the sonata form for the second and the final movements of the same symphony. The sonata form is the perfect way for Beethoven and many other composers to lead us on a journey before taking us home.